Hey, it's Janelle from Infinite Potential Healing. Welcome back. So, tips and tricks for supporting healthy habits from an abundance perspective. What in the actual fuck am I talking about? Great question, I'm going to tell you. So, I have had a theme come up in a lot of my client sessions really since the beginning of the year. And that theme is that I have clients come to me who are really overwhelmed. And they're overwhelmed because they need to make changes in their life. They want to make changes in their life. They're being called or guided to make changes in their life. But it just feels overwhelming to them to start taking things out, letting things go, quitting certain habits, making certain changes that are limiting and restrictive. And almost every single time across the board, these clients have been coming to me with the same challenge or same dilemma. Spirit's advice and the spiritual action steps that have gone with those particular readings have basically been to add things, to augment what they are already doing. Not to take away, not to restrict, but to add. And it's really interesting because the reason that I became aware of this theme is that more often than not, what I was seeing is that my client's ego was actually very much being triggered by the idea of limiting or resisting or taking things out or taking things away from what they were currently doing or their current routine, because what it was doing, it was sending ego straight into lack mentality. And when ego gets into lack mentality, ego goes screaming into lack mentality. Once ego starts screaming, then there's an automatic self-sabotage at play because ego doesn't want to be in lack mentality. It becomes fear-based and it becomes a whole icky, sticky, spirally snowball situation where success is definitely not very likely. So, the idea, instead of restriction, what can we add? So even if we look at this in terms of diet culture, and I am not a doctor, not a nutritionist, I am not here to give you any specific health advice. So for the love of all that is holy, do not come for me. Take what you want and take what resonates and leave the rest. But so often when we talk about, the idea of going on a diet, right? It's about restriction. Oh, well, I can't eat carbs. I can't eat fruit after a certain time in the day. I can't do this. I can't do that. I, can't drink my favorite beverage. I can't have my sweet treats. I can't, and on it goes, right? So the more our ego hears, I can't, I don't get, I have to limit, the more it's like, about that. And the more attitude it gets with us, the louder it barks. And again, the less likely success is going to be. So instead of this idea of what can I take away, look at what you can add. So again, focusing just on diet with all of the same caveats that I gave you before. Look at the asterisk, not a physician. What can you add? Well, we know right now, popular diet culture, it is all about fucking protein, right? How much protein do we need to consume? Every reel that is coming across my FYP is how to make some sort of crazy dessert out of cottage cheese. Every single one of them, and how we can add protein powder and where we can get the protein powder and other sources of protein. And I have to be honest, some of it's really inventive. Some of it is also batshit crazy. And some of it, you can say whatever you want to me, but I am never going to believe that that shit is going to taste any kind of way that I am going to want to eat it. To each his own. But again, the idea is, what can we add? We're not taking away the sweet treats, but we're adding a protein with them that helps our body metabolize the sugars from the sweet treat a little bit differently. The other thing that we can look at too is, what micronutrients or what nutrients can we add that are going to help us to feel more satiated, help us feel more full. Because nutritionally, most of us walk around as pretty hot dumpster fires most of the time, and we're not getting what we need from our food. I'm not getting into it about the quality of our food sources right now. That is another video, probably not from me, and probably not for another time. Separate discussion. But even with the foods that we are eating, even, most of us aren't focusing a terrible lot on nutrition. Or if we are, we don't even know what to focus on because there's so much noise. So take away the noise and just add listening to your body. What is your body saying to you? Chances are, more often than not, unless you're a chick and you're PMSing, your body is not saying, bitch, give me a cookie. But your body is saying, I need something that cookie has in it, or I need a nutrient that cookie is reminding me of. I need you to give me that, please. So just the idea of asking your body what it needs or what it wants is an empowered action step. This is true of so many other things. It's true of movement. It's true of, and movement obviously also means exercise, because it's important, just in case you've never gotten this memo before, to move your body every single day, regardless of how that looks for you. It is possible for each and every one of us to move our bodies every single day in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not talking about the steps that you have to take when you leave your house to get into your car and when you leave your car to get into work. I'm talking about even a couple minutes of mindful, intentional movement. To add that can be life-changing, game-changing. But again, we're not here to talk about diet culture. We're here to talk about the idea of adding things instead of subtracting them, to really focus on making changes from an abundance perspective. So whatever it is that you want to change, look at it differently. Flip the script on it. Ask yourself, what can I add here, rather than what can I stop doing? What can I take away, right? Even if it's something like as, macrocosmic as you want to quit smoking if you happen to be a smoker. Instead of, oh my God, I have to take away cigarettes, which is going to cause your ego to say a whole lot of shit. And frankly, it's going to cause your body to say some things too, because it is an addiction. There are chemicals in there that your body is now dependent on, that your body now needs. So then when we approach it from the standpoint of, what can I add to my routine that is going to pacify my need to have, oral stimulus, oral fixation? What can I add? And what can I add that is going to support my body so that it doesn't freak the fuck out as I start to cut back on, cut down on these cigarettes or this vape? Then we start to build in success. But it's when we just try to do these things cold turkey, or we do it from a super restrictive, super limited point of view, that we almost are setting ourselves up for failure. So again, repetitively, I've seen this in themes from the beginning of the year. Whatever change you want to make, whatever it is that you are trying to do, whatever you have been inspired to do, whatever you dream of doing, whether it is diet, exercise, health, habits, approach it from the idea of, what can I add? How can I support this change, this habit, by adding things in, rather than looking at, what am I restricting, what am I subtracting, what am I taking away? Just as a really quick example, so my furnace room is also my storage room, and it had gotten to be a certain kind of way after the holidays because I was rushing in and out of it and just kind of leaving things like I was a chaos demon in my wake. My son had basically done the same thing, and it built up because we didn't address it, and then it felt overwhelming. So instead of looking at it in terms of like, oh my God, I have to take an entire day where I can't do the things that I want to do to get this storage room cleaned out, I made the suggestion to my son of, why don't we take 1 hour? Why don't we add one single hour into our schedule this weekend when we don't have a lot going on and we intentionally just take 1 hour, 60 minutes, and we look at what we can get done in that 1 hour. And basically, that 1 hour was so transformational that we can now walk in there comfortably. Things have been stored in their spaces. We found things that we had been missing. Also found a little bit of cat destruction, but it is what it is. We've got a couple of cats that have their own take on how they want to add to these situations. But realistically, the whole rest of the room can probably be now knocked out in a half an hour. So instead of feeling disempowered that, oh my God, I gave up a whole hour on a Saturday to clean this room, now I'm like, damn, I can't wait to add that half an hour where I finish this into my schedule. It's a slight shift in perspective. It's a slight switch in perception, but it seriously is ultimately game changing. So hit me up in the comments and tell me, what is it that what changes are you wanting to make, and what can you add that are going to support you in making those changes? And you're going to find that you are going to be so much more successful, so much faster, and it's going to keep your ego at bay.